Welcome to my channel Forever Celeb. March 2026. A private screening room in Los Angeles. Over 60 Jackson family members sit in total silence as the lights come up on the new Michael Jackson biopic. Then Jermaine Jackson, 71 years old, shoots to his feet and spins toward his sister Janet. "You are so jealous. Just get on the wave." The entire room freezes. That wasn't a movie scene. That was real, and it was the latest eruption in a family drama that has been building since 1962. This is the story of the eldest Jackson brother. The deep voice. The bass player. The man who was supposed to be the star before his little brother changed the definition of what a star could be. Behind the Berlin red carpet premiere of a blockbuster built around his own son is a family tragedy bleeding for 40 years, marriages that collapsed in public, bitter rivalries, broken trust, and the slow-burning loneliness of being the brother who was always the bridge but never the king. To understand Jermaine Jackson, you have to go back to the cracked sidewalks of Gary, Indiana, and a tiny house on Jackson Street. 9 children. 3 bedrooms. Joseph Jackson, crane operator by day, failed blues guitarist by night, ran evening rehearsals with a belt in one hand and a vision in the other. The goal was singular: turn his sons into stars. Affection was not part of the curriculum. Young Jermaine, LaToya called him the most serious of the brothers. Stood at the front of that makeshift living room stage every night. But the problem was already taking shape. A 4-year-old named Michael kept stealing the room with a voice nobody could explain. As the brothers would later describe it, Joseph watched Michael's natural magnetism with a calculating eye, and Jermaine absorbed the message early: the spotlight had competition, and the competition shared his blood. The seed of a complicated relationship between the 2 eldest brothers. One built on genuine love and genuine jealousy simultaneously, was planted before either of them was old enough to understand what it meant. By 1969, the Jackson 5 had exploded. "I Want You Back" shot to number 1. Jermaine, 15, was the group's official leader, the smooth voice, the bass anchor, the one Berry Gordy at Motown called the future. Private jets, screaming fans, the whole American dream delivered overnight to a family from a steel mill town. Then, in 1975, the brothers wanted out. Epic Records was offering creative freedom and real money. The rest of the Jacksons packed for Los Angeles. Jermaine couldn't go. He was married to Hazel Gordy, Berry Gordy's daughter, with contracts and family ties that made the choice impossible without tearing his personal life apart. So he stayed. In Detroit. Alone at the far end of a table where every other brother had already made their decision. By all accounts, the moment devastated both sides. The brothers felt betrayed. Jermaine felt abandoned. The first deep wound in the Jackson family had been cut, and it would never fully close. His solo career got off the ground. In 1980, working with Stevie Wonder, he released "Let's Get Serious," number 1 on the R&B charts for the entire year, outperforming even Michael's "Rock With You" on that particular chart. For one shining summer, Jermaine Jackson was a star in his own right. Then Michael released Thriller, and the conversation about who the Jackson family's greatest talent was stopped being a conversation at all. Every award show, every magazine cover, every cultural moment became Michael, Michael, Michael. Jermaine kept releasing albums. The world had already chosen its king. The personal life ran alongside the career chaos, and it was no less turbulent. In December 1973, Jermaine married Hazel Gordy at the Beverly Hills Hotel in what was called the wedding of the century, Motown royalty marrying Motown royalty, 20 years old, the world watching. They had 3 children, Jermaine Jr., Autumn Joy, and Jamie. Behind the glamour, the marriage fractured under the weight of Jermaine's repeated infidelities. He had 2 sons out of wedlock with Margaret Maldonado while still legally married to Hazel. In 1988, after 15 years, Hazel filed for divorce. The papers cited irreconcilable differences. The family knew the real story. Then came the decision that still defines how some of his siblings see him. Her name was Alejandra Oaziaza, and she was Randy Jackson's long-term girlfriend. Randy and Alejandra had 2 children together when Jermaine began a secret affair with her starting in 1991. By 1995, he had married her quietly, with no family fanfare. She would give him 2 more sons. Jaffer in July 1996 and Jermaine in October 2000. Randy and Jermaine barely spoke for years. The cousins who were also half-siblings became living proof of the deepest kind of family betrayal. By 2004, that marriage too was collapsing. Jermaine filed for divorce, it was finalized in 2008, and Alejandra later accused him of abandoning the children emotionally and financially. In 2004, he married Halima Rashid. They lasted 12 years, until Thanksgiving weekend 2015, when a domestic dispute at their Los Angeles home ended with police being called, Halima arrested on felony domestic violence charges, and a case that was eventually dropped when prosecutors couldn't determine who had been the primary aggressor. 7 months later, she filed for divorce, listing the date of that violent Thanksgiving fight as the official start of separation. 3 marriages. 3 explosive endings. A trail of hurt and broken trust stretching across 4 decades. When Michael died in 2009, something shifted in how Jermaine positioned himself. The brother who had long been painted as jealous became, publicly, the family's loudest defender. In 2011, he poured everything into a book, You Are Not Alone, Michael, through a brother's eyes, raw, painful, and genuinely felt. In 2012, however, Jermaine joined Randy, Janet, and Rebbe in signing a public letter calling Michael's will fake, flawed, and fraudulent, demanding that estate executors step down, and accusing managers of mistreating their mother Catherine. The letter exploded across every media outlet. Then, days later, Jermaine reversed course entirely, retracted his signature, released a statement calling for peace, said the whole matter should have stayed private. The damage was done. The siblings had watched him flip. Trust shattered once again, exactly when the family had needed a united front. In March 2026, the entire Jackson family gathered in a private Los Angeles screening room to watch the new biopic before its release. Jermaine's son Jaffer, 25 years old, plays Michael. The film was Jermaine's moment of validation, decades in the making, his own blood, carrying the family name to the biggest screen in the world. When the lights came up, according to multiple sources including Page 6 and TMZ, Janet immediately began dismantling the film. She had criticism for nearly every scene, the acting, the makeup, the way characters moved and spoke. She wasn't whispering it. She said it openly, in front of 60 family members including the cast. Jermaine exploded. He shot to his feet, turned on his sister, and delivered 2 sentences that summarized 40 years of buried tension. You are so jealous. Just get on the wave. The room went completely still. A heated phone call between the two reportedly followed that same night. The full picture is more complicated than any single argument. Janet had been offered a role in the film and declined. LaToya confirmed at the Hollywood premiere that Janet was asked and she kindly declined. Janet is one of 3 siblings not featured in the film, alongside Rebbe and Randy, and none of them has publicly addressed their absence. LaToya later attempted to walk back reports of the screening incident, telling Entertainment Tonight there was absolutely no problem whatsoever, while Taj Jackson pushed back on social media urging fans not to spread what he called false stories. Even with those denials, the accounts from Page 6 and TMZ have shaped the public conversation ever since. The biopic itself opened to $97 million domestically and $217 million globally, breaking the record for the biggest biopic opening of all time and surpassing Straight Outta Compton. The film has since grossed roughly $497 million worldwide, making it the 4th highest grossing release of 2026. Jaffer Jackson's performance has been widely discussed. His father has been on every red carpet that would have him. At the Berlin premiere on April 10, the cameras captured Jermaine and Jaffer arm in arm, smiling, looking like the triumphant father-son story the narrative demanded. Janet wasn't there. Paris Jackson, Michael's daughter, was also absent. Insiders described scheduling conflicts. The family's internal conversation told a different story. Jermaine Jackson, at 71, is single. He lives with his focus split between his son's rising stardom and what he describes as his final legacy project. A Jackson family museum planned for the French Riviera. He revealed the concept in December 2025 during a Monaco gala, a traveling exhibition featuring over 120 paintings created by Michael himself, hundreds of pieces of memorabilia, and a collection he estimates at $1.6 billion. The world premiere is targeted for the Monaco Art Biennale in late 2026 or early 2027. The Jacksons are still touring, shows booked through summer 2026, with dates in Copenhagen, Rotterdam, and Staten Island. The harmonies still work. The catalog still draws crowds. For 90 minutes on a stage, the old magic holds. Off stage, by multiple accounts, Jermaine has been working to rebuild the relationship with Randy, the brother whose girlfriend he took, whose family he fractured, who barely spoke to him for years. Sources say he's been reaching out more frequently, trying to mend fences that have been broken longer than some of their children have been alive. Whether those fences can be repaired is a question neither brother has answered publicly. HarperCollins released a new edition of You Are Not Alone on April 9, 2026, updated introduction, new material, timed to coincide with the biopic. At the Los Angeles book launch, a handful of fans showed up. Some cousins. No Janet, no Paris, no grand family gathering. Jermaine signed copies with the practiced smile of a man who has been doing this for 50 years. Here's what the red carpets don't show. Jermaine Jackson was there at the very beginning. The serious one in the back, bass guitar in hand, watching a 4-year-old brother steal every heart in the room. He was the leader of the group before the group had any idea how famous it was about to become. He stayed at Motown while his brothers chased freedom, made the choice that felt like betrayal to everyone watching, and spent the next 4 decades living inside the consequences of that decision. He loved Michael. He also spent decades standing in Michael's shadow in a way that clearly cost him something real and permanent. Both things are true, and neither cancels the other out. The museum, when he talks about it, sounds less like a business venture and more like an answer to a question he's been asking his entire life: was I here? Did I matter? He says publicly it's about the whole Jackson legacy, all of them, together. What it sounds like, beneath that, is a man racing against time to leave something beautiful behind that the world will walk through and understand. I was here, too. I mattered, too. The biopic celebrating his son is playing in theaters around the world. The book about his brother is back in print. The museum is being designed in Monaco with his personal attention on every detail. By any external measurement, Jermaine Jackson is busier and more relevant in 2026 than he's been in decades. And yet, by every account from those who know him, the oldest brother still carries the weight of having been the one who never quite got to be the biggest. He built his family into icons. He held things together through divorces, deaths, public scandals, and 40 years of internal warfare. He showed up, every time, on every stage. The world always screamed for someone else. That is the quietest, most persistent tragedy in a family that has never been short of loud ones.